Welcome to In the Spotlight. Let's get started right away. What is the matter with the superintendent at D33 in West Chicago? Her name is Christina Davis. And apparently, I got a hold of a FOIA that somebody else did. By the way, Jeannie Ives did not do this one.
Right.
Neither did Breakthrough Ideas. But somebody else forwarded me a FOIA last evening. And in that FOIA, they must have talked about a lot of stuff that was going on with masks and things like that.
Yes.
And this superintendent, Christina Davis, was apparently FOIAing Peg Agnos, who is a education lobbyist for a group called Lend DuPage. So they deal with school districts. The taxpayers fund these people. They they go down to Springfield and they're supposed to lobby on behalf of school districts.
Right.
Well, Christina Davis was the superintendent, by the way, was letting Peg Agnos know that Jeannie Ives and Breakthrough Ideas, our organization, Kathleen, we had the audacity to list all the school board meetings and encourage people to attend.
We did it. We do it every week. Sign up for our newsletter.
That's right.
You'll get all the information.
That's right. Sign up at breakthrough-ideas.com. You'll get all this information.
So what's the problem? They don't want people coming to their meetings?
I don't know, but
they don't want public participation?
Well,
they don't.
They don't. I mean, it is actually remarkable. I mean, here's kind of how the whole thing went down. She goes, the following was sent to me by a community member who attended Thursday's board meeting. See below, and
like
it
she's
says
gotten top secret information.
Exactly, and then so somebody sends this to the superintendent, Christina.
Yeah,
it says Christina, per Barb Layman's and her work with the League of Women Voters. This is all stemming from the Jeannie Ives
League of Women Voters, who like to walk around and publicly claim to be nonpartisan, could not be more partisan.
No, they were caught with
They're
Antifa.
Activists.
They were caught with
activists.
Antifa up in Mount Prospect at a defund the police movement rally. That's the League of Women Voters.
So League of Women Voters is working.
Yes. Barb Layman's works. She's part of the League of Women Voters. I know her, and she says, and they basically said, this is all coming from the Jeannie Ives camp. First of all, what is coming from the Jeannie Ives camp?
What is people showing up at your school board meetings? No, it isn't. Parents are upset.
They're very upset, and I applaud them. Look,
I know you want somebody to blame, but you've actually pissed a lot of people off. You've done a lot of things wrong.
Oh, wait until I tell you the other story that happened last night. Okay, so then it says, see the Jeannie Ives newsletter from yesterday. Kathleen, I hate to take credit for other people's work. So I want people here to know that you put all these newsletters together.
Well, no, it is
Breakthrough Ideas. It's Breakthrough Ideas information.
Our work.
But
we're absolutely putting it out.
That's right.
We're putting it out.
Absolutely. But you put them together. You personally, they are really well done newsletters.
Thank you.
You put them together. I don't even approve them because we all have our parts in this, this whole
but
thing.
We know what we want to communicate. I mean,
absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
We're putting out information about the school board.
Right.
We're not the only ones, but we are doing it. Yes,
but I don't want to take credit for work that you also participate in and do it. Okay,
really, we don't need to do
no,
this.
But Jeannie Ives, I mean, I'm like some boogeyman. These people need to freaking get a life.
Well, they just can't believe how many people are upset with the decisions that they've made. That's the problem. So they need to blame somebody. But actually, you'd be surprised to know, yes, there have been a lot of groups who have been kind of, shoved into silence by your shaming and the media narrative and they feel isolated, but suddenly they're realizing, hey, I'm not the only one. And we have met with a lot of different groups of moms and dads individually, of teachers.
Yes.
Who disapprove of what you're doing.
Yes.
And so, we're helping make connections, because guess what? What you're doing is not met with approval by a lot of people. And I think they're really shocked to learn that everyone's not on board and that anyone would dare speak up against their all knowing what's best for your kids and your schools.
So of course I couldn't help myself. I mean, I go to the Illinois State Board of Education website, and of course there it is, West Chicago District 33. First of all, I go to the ISB website. I also go to the D33 website. This superintendent has been part of that failing school system for 10 years, the last 2 years as the superintendent. When you go to the Illinois State Board of Education website, by the way, this is public information. This isn't something that I made up or something.
17% math proficient.
No, 19% proficient in reading.
Yeah.
18% proficient in math. That means 4 out of 5 kids are failing.
No one should have their kids in that school.
That school district should be permanently
at that meeting.
That school district should be permanently shut down. Plus, they're putting in really, really harsh quarantine stuff for young kids. This is an elementary school district. An elementary school district, we're talking, they have 3 preschool schools, they have 6 K through 5th grade schools, and they have 1 middle school, 6th through 8th grade. This school district, elementary, we're not even talking like higher level, mathematics teachers that you need to hire at the high school level. They spend $16,143 per student, and that's not even all in. That is just in general. That's not even including capital expenditures. That's not including debt service. That's not even the all-in number. I still am looking up that number. But $16,143 per student.
Higher than the state average.
4 out of 5 students are failing in that school district, failing. And Christina Davis should have, she should have, so much to do, so busy to do that I am something to be ignored by her.
Right.
But, so go ahead.
Because
show
they
up at
don't want
D33 school board
this
meeting.
information out. They don't.
No,
want,
they don't.
Yeah.
They don't want you to focus on performance. They want to, then Peg Agnos, this taxpayer-funded lobbyist, thought this was such a revelation that we are encouraging people to go to school board meetings. That's such a revelation.
Go to school board
meetings.
meetings.
She had to show that she was doing her part, even though the Springfield's not in session. She had to, show her worth. So she sends an email to like a gazillion superintendents. I posted this all on our Facebook page. You can read, you can look at the emails themselves. She sends an email to them saying, "Watch out for that genius." This is ridiculous. These people are so beside themselves that people are pushing back, and it got worse in Glen Ellen, right?
But if they're this beside themselves, it's probably because they have something to. It's probably because they know
have something to hide.
That what's going on isn't something that would be met with approval.
Okay, so here's
in the light of day.
Yeah. So Naperville 203, 66% at English proficiency, 67% at math. Naperville 204, 63%, 63%. District 200, 1 out of 2 kids don't read or do math at grade level. It's 53% English. And it's 52% math. 1 out of 2 kids are not at grade level in Wheaton.
That's really
Warrenville. Okay, St. Charles D 303, not much better. 54% English proficiency, 57% math. Glenbard West, Glen Ellyn, 44% English, 43% math. West Chicago High School. And this is because D33 is not doing the elementary district's not doing jobs. So what do you find at the high school?
Is that the
27% at English proficiency, 28% at math. So 3 out of 4 kids are not meeting state standards. 3 out of 4 kids. Hinsdale 86, 65%, 68%. Still bad for a school district like that. Honestly, their spend is over $20,000 per kid. $20,000. That is, you could go to college on that, and they can't get but 65% of their kids at proficiency. It's embarrassing. Downers Grove, such a great school, right? No. 1 out of 2 kids there also not at proficiency standards. 48% in English, 54% in math. Elmhurst, 65%, 63%. Batavia, 52%, 58%. I mean, this is the deal, and
we're
it's
actually
worse
never going to stop putting out the school board meetings. We're going to maybe add more of them, and we're never going to stop talking about it.
We're not going to stop talking about it. But I mean, this goes into a whole other issue. This is going to be a little bit longer of a segment. What happened in Glen Ellen over the week?
Right,
Glen Ellen, do you want to kind of tee up that conversation?
Where the school boards are, where the test scores are in the 40s.
That's right.
Well, we have friends who have decided local grandmother has about a handful of people, 5 to 7 on any given day, who decided they want to stand up for parent choice. She's a retired Glen Ellyn school teacher, want to stand up for parent choice. So they're standing out on the corner by the administration building, which happens to be across the street from this grandmother's child's school, with signs that say, "Unmask the kids, we're for parent choice, freedom." They have
Honk for freedom.
Honk for freedom. They have American flags. Glen Ellyn went apoplectic. Because this is why you stick with it. Glen Ellyn doesn't know what to do with these 5 little ladies who won't go away. It's literally 5 of the most harmless people you've ever seen. And they're like, they're calling children names and they're making it unsafe. And these Glen Ellyn parents in masks have stood, they form a wall. There's more parents than there are of these little ladies protesting with their little signs, and they've been hurled all kinds of abuse and all of this. And then the Marxist superintendent of District 41 has deep ties to the Pritzker administration and with the media like WGN, and so he gets media out there last week or earlier this week.
Yep.
And they run stories saying, well, Jeannie Ives has organized this protest. Not true. We show up once a week just to support them and to do a little video with them. Like, we show up at a lot of events. We go to numerous events for other people's groups every week. Most of the time we split and go 2 different ways.
That's right.
So because there's so many to go to. And we meet with a lot of people too. So Jeannie Ives, first of all, is an organizer of the protests, which she calls Rally for Parental Choice. So WGN, Politico ran it, and you put something up in your, because, Shia over there doesn't check her facts.
Yes,
ever.
That's right. She doesn't check her facts.
Fact-free journalism at Politico.
Can't believe what they say.
Right after that, Jeannie puts up a post saying, I'm not organizing this protest. We had on August 25th, did a Facebook Live because the D41 PTA Council president put up a post saying Jeannie Ives is behind these 5 ladies with poster board.
Oh, I was funding it too. Funding a poster board. These people are nuts.
They're just crazy. But they have the reaction to 5 people who have a different idea than you, stating their idea publicly is like, hurl insults at them, bring in the media, get the village board, bring this up at the village board about how awful it is, lie about them, lie to them.
Right.
Shout them down.
Yes.
And then there's a bunch of false reports from WBBM, WGN, WBBM. We've sent a letter. WBBM did correct the record. So thank you to Ron Gleason and WBBM for correcting the record on that. WGN said, no, we don't see anything wrong. We think this is very factual. So that is what WGN thinks that it's just A-okay to put out information that's very misleading and very biased. So when you're watching that station, that's what they think is all right. That's their standard.
So, so here's the deal. They want no diversity of thought, these people 100%. In Glen Ellyn. And then the media doesn't check their facts. They never check their facts. And they can't explain anything logically at all. And so this is all about the mask. And this is, there's been actually some really good stuff that happened on masks just this time frame. In fact, hang on here. I'm just going to pull something up quick. So just a couple things. One, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules met on Tuesday and requested the Illinois State Board of Education appear to answer questions concerning their procedures about placing schools on probation for violation of the Governor Pritzker's mask mandate. ISB refused to answer many of the questions due to pending litigation over their procedures. But in a 10-0 vote, all members of the JCAR from both parties passed a resolution requiring ISB to clarify in writing their specific procedures of probation for both public and non-public schools within 30 days. So that's one thing that happened. Number 2, parents in Teutopolis School District successfully sued to not have their children wear a mask. That was 3 parents sued for their children. A judge then issued a temporary restraining order that allows the 3 children in the Teutopolis Unit 5 School District to attend class without wearing masks. So good for them. Number 3, the Carlisle School District is now barred from requiring students, because of a court order, but they're barred from requiring students to wear a mask unless there's a quarantine order from the county health department. That's because masks are considered a quarantine device, which is only enforceable by court order. So more parents need to do this. By the way, Carl School District in an earlier board vote on August 12th, I believe it was the vote. So it was after the August 4th proclamation by the dictator-in-chief, Governor Pritzker, that you must wear a mask in school. And after that vote, that school board still said that they were going to go mask optional in defiance of the governor. So this is a huge win for Carlisle because the school district is behind mask optional. And now, unless there's a court order, they don't have to enforce anybody wearing a mask in their school district. So there is pushback happening. Good. It just hasn't happened in Glen Ellen.
No.
These people want to follow these guys lock, stock.
Look at how they react to, I mean, this is not even a threat. This is not even a big deal. They're 5 people.
They just can't handle it.
They can't handle it.
But, I mean, here's what we know. Okay, so the federal...
I just have to say, the lengths, Glen Ellen, that you will go to shame people is really just atrocious.
Well, we know, I mean, there's been plenty of data about masks. All of it, nearly all of it is saying, there's various studies. Some say it has a minor effect. Some say it actually has a harmful effect on masks. I mean, there's studies all over the board.
Yeah.
But, reading in the Federalist, both Carl Hennigan, a professor of evidence-based medicine at the University of Oxford.
Which is maybe also why you leave it up to parents to make the decision for their kids.
Yeah, because there's differing opinions.
Everyone has a different view.
Well, and then also Martin Kulldorff, who's been involved in this conversation since the beginning. He's a professor of medicine at Harvard University. They wrote in the Federalist, they said, most European countries do not mask their young children, and the United Kingdom's government has determined it is no longer necessary to recommend the additional precautionary face covering measures in educational settings. So, Europe's figuring this out. It is hard. This is what they wrote together. It is hard to understand how any scientist can claim there is high quality evidence that masks on children are an effective public health measure. So, I mean, so there you go. I mean, this is very, very debatable. We think parents should have a choice. One more thing about before we close out this segment and move on to our next segment. You know what? This happened just to a friend that I know. All right.
Yeah.
The daughter was called to quarantine for 10 days by the school. So first, the school nurse,
because she was contact traced.
She was contact traced at lunch by somebody.
Healthy.
She's healthy, 100% healthy. So they were contacted and said she needs to sit out of school by the nurse. And the parent, who's been pretty savvy, been reading up on this, knows kind of his rules. He's like, well, you need to give me an order by the Department of Health.
Yeah.
And that hadn't come. And they're like, well, if she tries to return to school, we're not going to let her in. Well, I haven't seen the court order. So the Department of Health finally gets the court order like at 5 p.m. Late at that night. And he's like, well, I know that but the court order from the Department of Health says she has to quarantine for 14 days. So it's in conflict with the school, right? Plus he knows that they can't order it without really a court order. So he's like, I'm not going to sign it. They're going to have to go get me a court order within 48 hours.
Right.
This is unenforceable. Additionally, the conversation went like this because last week when we went to the school board meeting, I spoke about quarantines and then I followed up with an email. And I'm not saying I'm the impetus of this, but here's part of the deal. This does deal with a District 200 with our own school district. By the way, this story comes straight from them. I heard straight from the parent whose daughter is affected by this right now. But after that meeting, I followed up with an email. I said, why don't you just say if you test negative, you can stay regardless, right? And so there was a big discussion on Wednesday night, District 200 people, about in a community engagement session that they were going to go to test. If you test negative, you can go back to school without quarantining. So the parent has a conversation with one of the principals and says, well, that's what we intend to do. We intend to, while the county has decided that if you test negative, you can go back to school. The school board has not adopted that resolution yet. So she still has to quarantine. Even though they know that they're going to do it, even though they failed. The school district should
get their butts back into a meeting. You're not educating your students. You're failing.
That's right.
You're failing your students.
And if you know you're going to go down this route, if you know you're going to go down this route, this is such an important topic.
That is so lazy.
They're so lazy. They could put together a board meeting within 48 hours and have this passed as a resolution, and kids who test negative could go back, no problem. Here's the other conundrum with this story. The person who came up COVID positive, and then the other folks were contact traced, was already vaccinated.
Right.
The student who was positive was vaccinated
that's
already.
Because you can carry the pathogen if you're vaccinated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what people need to know. You're just protecting yourself from symptoms. Just a reminder.
Okay, but
about
the
vaccines.
rule is
you can still carry it.
The rule is if you the other students nearby who are contact traced, and the reason she was the girl was contact traced was it was lunchtime and she was eating without a mask.
Right.
So even if she's if she's within 6 feet and she doesn't have her mask on, and which is happening at lunchtime,
You're still contact
then you're contact traced. Well, the girl is unvaccinated.
Okay.
The student who's positive is vaccinated.
Right.
The other people at the table were vaccinated, so they don't have to quarantine. The people that are vaccinated don't have to quarantine, yet the positive case came from a vaccinated student.
And she tested negative.
And she tested negative.
And she has to quarantine.
And she has to quarantine only because they chose not to put an experimental drug in their daughter's body, which and it is experimental drug. It hasn't even been in use for a year.
From being a carrier, it just reduces your symptoms. I don't this doesn't even make, this is punitive. This policy is absolutely, it's punitive.
And it's illogical. And if your school district
unless you're using it to punish people who aren't doing what you want, and then it is logical.
Who are these people like, I have a PhD in education.
Congratulations.
Well, it's a bullshit degree.
I've been a mom for 16 years. Yeah.
Then it's BS if you can't figure out the logic behind this. If you're just blindly...
basically how vaccines work.
Again, superintendents are the most uncourageous bureaucrats ever.
Agreed.
All right.
And they're way overpaid, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. Outrageously overpaid for what they do. And by the way, especially Christina Davis, sorry, 4 out of 5 kids in your school district are failing. Okay, I mean... Well, Kathleen, that was a long segment. We're going to catch our breath. We're going to come back with you. And we've got the Ohio mayor that tells his entire school board to resign. I love this art. Love this story.
Love this guy.
Okay.